Welcome back to another episode of the Warsh podcast. I'm so excited for today's episode because we have a return guest. It's back for the third time, Anthony Garant. He is back for the third time.
Much better.
Actually, I guess I should.
Time champ here.
I guess I should ask you what you prefer. Are you a he? Are you an it? What do you like to roll with?
I go by he.
You go by he? Okay, that's very fair. I've low-key been in a bit of an it mood recently. I kind of like when people refer to me as it. You know? Because I'm more of an entity. Like Warsh is more of a state of mind, I think.
You know, I can hear that.
It's just like an extremely autistic state of mind. So.
Sorry, sir. I can't focus right now. I'm too busy Warshing.
Warshing is also. It can also be a verb. Now that you bring that up, a lot of things can be described as Warshing. Like recently I was in bed with a girl and I asked her if she could Warsh on it, and she didn't really take to that too well. But I don't think she quite understood.
With a Warsh.
If only that were possible. If only that were... Maybe someday. Maybe we'll reach cloning before I die. Anyways, how have you been? It's been a while since we last spoke. Anything... Like... I know you've been through some... Like, you've been through some stuff related to your health. But, like... Anything outside of that area that... Like, anything eventful that's happened?
Not entirely, but with all of the isolation and boredness of getting surgery, you just start to, first of all, do absolutely nothing and go crazy. But then, while you're recovering for multiple months on end, I find that you can really try to strengthen, like, your mind and your mental conditions.
Yep.
Which can make a pretty big difference sometimes, especially when you're dealing with other issues.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this is like nothing compared to what's been going on previously, and it could really help.
It's a matter of
trying
perspective.
to strengthen things. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was a Viktor Frankl quote. He had a concept that basically suffering acts like a gas in that it doesn't matter the amount, it grows to fill the container. So it doesn't, like, that's why for somebody who hasn't been through terrible things, a seemingly small, insignificant thing can be like a catastrophe. Like, think about your first breakup. The first time you go through a break, like, it's literally a world-ending catastrophic event. But as you go through more of them, and as you go through more emotional toil, it slowly but surely just becomes less and less.
Yeah, and you start to strengthen and avoid potential issues from forming.
Yeah.
Smartening up in a sense.
It really sucks that in life, as somebody who wants to get better and get stronger and improve in all areas of my life, it sucks that the only way for that to happen is basically just to go through a lot of suffering. Yeah. Like,
yep.
It's really annoying sometimes. But, like, that's the only way. That's the only way.
And it can be, it's terrible, but it's kind of refreshing if you can remind yourself that sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is awful, but I'm going to be, like, so much stronger when this is over.
Yeah. I find it's so hard. Like, and you tell yourself that over and over again, but I'm sure you've been there. When you're at those really low points and you're struggling and you're lost and you don't know what to do, like, you can tell yourself, anything you want, but, like, it doesn't make it any easier. Those hard times are hard for a reason, you know?
Little by little, they do get easier.
That's
because
true.
while you're going through them, you can also, like, manage how you respond to hard times.
Yep. That's a big,
Because avoiding a spiral is the hardest thing to do, but if you can figure out how to even just delay it and slow it down,
yep.
it makes all the difference when the stuff's going down.
I mean, I think I talked about it in one of the videos I made, or, oh no, it was one that I actually ended up, like, I think I ended up cutting it short by accident, so I didn't upload it, but I talked about, I think during hard times, what I've learned, like, the number one thing is just, like, keep your head above water at all costs. Like, whatever it takes to remain a functioning human being. That's, like, literally step one, you know? Yeah, like, avoiding the spiral. Avoiding the spiral.
Because we've all been there.
Yep.
And spirals are terrible, but sometimes they feel inevitable. But the more you go through...
Sometimes they are inevitable because, like, we all get pushed past our limit at points. It all it happens to all of us, but as you get stronger, your limit grows. So
Yes.
those spirals become far less frequent, and avoidable when you recognize that they're starting to come on, and you can take a step back and you can
And it just feels
reset.
good knowing that you're more in control.
Yes. Yep.
Which creates a positive feedback loop, further
Yep.
preventing it from happening.
Yeah. Definitely something I've learned. You know, yeah, I mean, it's just stopping yourself from having a total breakdown and just keeping your head on your shoulders and moving forward. And, you know, I find that, like, those are the times, it sounds so trite, but, like, when you're really at a low point, I think you have to make things that you wouldn't consider a win, like, start to make them wins. Like, I took a shower this morning. I made my bed. Like, shit like that, you know?
Oh, I can push that so much further because when
Yeah.
you're with the stuff I've gone through, if you go through some pretty heavy surgeries, even just getting out of bed
Yeah.
for the first time in multiple days, just to sit up or stand up is
Yep.
a win. And you need to take it as a win because if you try to feel like, oh, I can't do anything, I can't even do this right, like you won't be able to get out of it.
And I think the hard part about that is it sucks and it hurts because your pride gets in the way. Like, it's humiliating to have to admit to yourself that you have to lower the bar to, yeah, like, I got out of my bed, and that's a big win for me. Like, that's a huge positive. But
You just got to slowly graduate these little steps into bigger steps. But you take a couple, like, you go for a walk, you walk around
yep.
your room, then you walk outside of your room, like, just slowly.
Yeah. I mean,
And it seems simple, but you need it sometimes.
you do. It's one of the most painful experiences in life is when you're running at, like, level 100 and out of nowhere life just kicks you back down to level 1. I heard a good quote today. You judge talent at its highest and you judge character at its lowest. And that really resonated. That resonated like crazy with me. You don't judge somebody's character when they're doing well. You judge it when they're going through a really bad time.
Yeah, because that's when you notice
Yep.
the most either red flags or green flags.
Yep. And that's taken a while for me to realize that, you know, that's when your true strength as a human being is defined, is when you're inevitably put through bad times, because they just suck, but they're just, until you can accept them as a part of life, you're just going to be holding yourself back, you know.
And if you think of it that way, if you want to strengthen how you're perceived the most, which isn't the best idea
Yeah.
to focus on how you're perceived, but if you want to focus on your character, you want to make sure that you can handle the tough situations.
Yeah, and you almost, in a sadistic way, have to seek them out. And You know, I'm not talking about self-sabotage here, by the way. Like, I'm not talking about, you know, go ruin your life so you can see if you can make it through it. Like,
Yeah,
you
but
know,
just don't back down from it.
don't exactly. That's a great way to put it. Don't get in your own way, but don't shrink. Don't shrink when times get hard. You know, that's the time to put your head up, keep your head up in the rain, and move forward. And I mean, again, it sounds so fucking trite and stereotypical, but like in hindsight, every time I've looked back at something like a terrible time, and I just look back and I'm like, holy fuck, that's when I learned the most. Like, I came out so much better because of that. And if that didn't happen to me, I probably wouldn't be where I am today, you know?
And then the best feeling is looking back and being like, wow, why the hell did I do that? Or why did
Oh
why
my
did I
god.
let things get to that point?
Oh
But
my.
the fact that you can realize that and acknowledge it shows just how far you've come and how far you're growing.
The most. I can tell you for certainty, I literally talked about this with another person on yesterday's episode. The most infuriating part of self-improvement is looking back on where you were before and you're just like, man, what the fuck was I thinking? Like, oh my god, I can't believe I was like, I said those things, or I did this thing, or I was like this. Like it's just, but that's the sign that
Yeah.
you've gotten better when you cringe at your former
Exactly.
self.
It's infuriating, but it's also inspiring
It
to
is.
know that you've come that far and that you're going to keep going further.
Oh, there's so much pride there. There's so much pride to be found there when you look back and see where you were and see where you are, and knowing that you can. The hope is, like, for me, the hope is always that 6 months from now, I'm gonna be looking back at me right now and be like, what the fuck was that guy thinking? That's the
But
hope.
right now you think you're doing things right and things are going well. Or I would hope so.
Yep.
Doing it.
Exactly. I mean, another great quote that came up today is, when you're doing a good job, or when you think you're doing a good job, you're not doing as good as you think. And when you think you're doing a terrible job, you're not doing as bad as you think. Like, we're biased in that way, you know?
That's a good one.
It is. And that's what, you know, to anybody out there who thinks that they're doing a really bad job right now, I guarantee you're not doing as bad as you think. And like even if you're just hanging in there, you're probably doing better than you think you are.
Especially with new territory and stuff that you
Yeah.
don't know
Oh, that's always
how to handle at all.
Yep.
Because
Yep.
the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. You realize that you're really not doing that bad of a job for the first time.
Exactly. Because, like, at the end of the day, there's stuff that you don't know yet. There's stuff that you're going through things you haven't experienced before. So
Exactly.
you can't beat
You
yourself.
gotta start somewhere.
Exactly. I think one of the biggest things I've learned in this past year and a half is to stop being scared of being a beginner, because
Good one.
it's not a bad thing. It's humbling, yes, but until you can accept being bad at stuff and being a beginner at stuff, you're never going to try new things, and you're not going to grow as much as you could, you know?
I used to be a person who would beat myself up over every time I'd mess up or make a mistake because I wasn't perfect.
You're talking to the king of
Growing out of
that.
the perfectionist mindset is a very difficult thing to do, especially when you're
Yeah.
a kid.
I mean, I've been so, these past couple months especially, I've been leaning more and more against perfectionism as a concept. I think it's extremely arrogant. I think it's lazy. I think it's prideful, because there's not a single human being that's perfect. So to think that you can be is just, first of all, it's incredibly unhealthy for you, and it holds you back. It holds you back.
Yeah.
Because you got to do things badly before you can do them good, you know?
It also can just entirely change how you approach things and
Yep.
live your life. Because if you're trying to achieve perfection this whole time, you're going to stay with the things you're good at because you don't want to, in a
Yep.
sense, go backwards, which is what it feels like when you're trying something new.
Sometimes
When really you're growing.
yeah. But those, and you got to be willing. Yeah, you're right. You actually sometimes have to take steps backwards before you can, like one step backward, two steps forward. Like that, you're not going to be able to cope with that if you're too much of a perfectionist. Even
And
though
if you're avoiding it the whole time, then you will never improve.
never, like it's just, you know, people get disillusioned because they think that improvement is a linear process, and it's not. Like it looks like it's like a fucking, like you see those charts of like stock graphs going up and down, like, you know, fucking in circles, sideways, all that shit. Like that's what it feels like on a day-to-day basis, and it's only like when you zoom out through the months and the years that you actually see the line slowly trending upwards. But you don't get to see that from day to day, which is why it's so hard sometimes.
That's like when you feel like you haven't like grown in a long time, but then you
Yeah.
go to like a distant relative or like your grandparents' house or something, and they're like, "Oh, you've grown so much." You're like, "No, I
Yeah.
haven't."
Yeah.
But then you take a step back and you measure, and you're like, "Damn, yeah, I have."
Oh yeah, 100%.
You'll never realize that on your own.
You don't most of the time you don't get to see progress on your own. You actually don't see, which is why it's so difficult. Like, which is, it can be so demoralizing sometimes, especially, you know, if it's been, like you sit there and it's like, there have been times this summer, even I can think about times in the past fucking week probably, where I've been sitting there like, man, I've been trying so hard now for like a year and a half and I've made zero progress. And that's just not true, but because of the day-to-day ups and downs, that's how you feel.
Yeah.
And that's how you perceive it. Like being, like we live life in kind of the fog of war, and we don't get to have like the objective view outside of how we're really doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
sometimes you need outside perspectives, or just to take a step back and be the outside perspective yourself,
yep.
which is stupid hard.
Oh yeah, detaching is like it's. Oh man, that shit's hard to do. That shit is like.
Yeah, that can be where like meditating or something is good, but even then,
Can only go
centering
so
yourself
far.
versus entirely just taking a breath and
Yep. I mean, I think the
trying to get a
key
new perspective.
the key is to have close, you know, people that are trustworthy, that are going to be honest with you. They're going to tell you what you're doing good, and they're going to tell you what you're doing bad. And they don't care how you react to it, they're going to tell you. That's a, you know,
You still gotta know that you're gonna get positive reinforcement out of it.
you do.
Criticism is welcome, but if it's just constant putting you down criticism,
No,
that's not gonna do much good either.
that just erodes
Because you're already
your
putting
confidence.
yourself down.
Yeah, like that just erodes. You need somebody who's gonna. You almost, in a way, need someone who's gonna lift you up when you're down on yourself, but they're gonna bring you back down to earth when you're a little too high on yourself. In a way,
Yeah.
like you gotta have just someone who's gonna remind you who you are and keep your head on your shoulders.
They gotta be there to lift you up when you fall, but they can't just carry you.
Yes, that's the other thing. They gotta.
You have to fall in order to get back up.
You have to do a lot of falling. In life, you have to do a lot of falling. That's just the shitty, inevitable truth of it. That's where you learn the most. You don't learn by succeeding. Like, you just learn by fucking face planting. And it sucks. And it can be humiliating and it can hurt, but it's just...
It slowly gets easier.
I would beg to differ, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if it ever gets easier. I think, you know...
Yeah, but it's nice to tell yourself things
That is
to keep
true.
getting you through it.
Yeah. I don't think, I mean, I'm a believer that I don't think life gets easier, I think you just get stronger. You know?
You just get better at it.
Exactly. It's a journey and it's a process, and it's one thing I learned over the past year is that, you know, life is not like, it's not like a video game where you just unlock a new level. That's not how it works. It's like cyclical, and it's just up and down, and it's crazy, and it'll you know, one day you'll be flying so high and the next day you'll just be shot down to earth. It's, yeah. you can't really, you don't know where it's going to take you and what it's going to do next.
Oh, never.
But that's the fun of it, because if you did, then it'd be one hell of a boring life. So,
Exactly.
well, I won't keep you any longer, Anthony. Thank you so much for coming on and having this conversation with me. This has been an incredible episode. I'm sure we'll be hearing from you soon again. I wish you the best of luck with your recovery for round number 4. It's on the way. Don't worry. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime. Peace. Hope to see everybody here in the next one.